There we have it, the tale of the tape. Bartosz Stanko, the elder, by 10 years. Both men the same height, both men the same weight. Both men making their debut in a mixed martial arts experience. Well, 10 years proves to be a little bit of life experience going into the cage there.
Yeah, like again, in years of mixed martial arts, obviously both fighters coming in, making their MMA debuts, so age is a leveler in experience, life experience in some ways, but a lot of pressure. I don't know if it came across on your screen, but a big bit of pop for both fighters, Stanko and Molloy. So yeah, the young man, you would think at 29 years of age, without sounding bad, the layman's term, you think you're going to beat up a 19-year-old, but this is a very skilled 19-year-old. And speaking of skilled, we've got one of the best skilled referees. Decky Larkin is your third man. So Stanko is in the blue and black pitbull shorts, while in grey, black and orange is Molloy. Big support for both men. So expect ruthless noise each time something happens for either one. It's the 19-year-old who starts calm and almost feel just by the first couple of strikes looks the more relaxed. You could say Stanko looked a little stiff.
You see Stanko now choosing to close the distance in on the clinch. Has one underhook being defended well here by Patrick Molloy. You can see him digging in for double underhooks. Manages to break away. Good knee by Stanko.
Looking to step away, steps in with a Superman punches Molloy, and Molloy seems all action on the feet while Stanko wants to close that distance.
I think perhaps he's just trying to weather the early storm here of Patrick Molloy. Molloy takes a breath, looks over to his corner for instruction. Can see Stanko right in his own corner here. MMA veteran, MMA royalty on this island. Norman Park in his corner there.
ASW champion.
Could be seeing the early offings here of the guillotine choke by Patrick Molloy. Has that one arm over.
Just grapevining the leg as well, just to trap and almost allow him to anchor that position. Abandons it now, just looks towards the corner for a little advice.
Maybe switching to the arm-in guillotine here. I think it's almost a contingency. If he is taken down, he will land in that guillotine.
Stanko at the moment is just leaning in and not looking to change levels or change grip at the moment.
He needs to straighten that back up a little bit. There it is.
Starting to fish under there, maybe starting to feel it as Pat Molloy was looking to feed that left hand in.
Just cradling it now, decides to let it go. Clamping down with that overhook, searching for his own underhook. Gets the doubles. That's beautiful defensive wrestling from Patrick Molloy. Nice sneak out.
Turn away, and he'll expect to separate and throw strikes here from Pat Molloy. He has done that, just needs to watch the back of the head there. He spins, but Stanko, like sticky tape, just sticking to him there, not allowing the separation. Good work by Bartosz Stanko to keep it where he seems to want it, Phil.
Right in front of us here in our broadcast position. He needs to be wary of that neck. You can see it.
Sits up into this guillotine choke now, Phil.
Patrick Molloy must feel like he has it. He's digging in on it.
Right in front of us, Phil. You can see it's right under the chin of Stanko.
If he can adjust his grip ever so slightly, he may be just a little bit too far in with the blade of his arm. But no, this looks tight. He's readjusted. This looks super tight. Right underneath the chin. Can he get the leverage on it?
No, he's just, again, I think it's the height of Stanko that is stopping that. Such a tall fighter. As our boat men here in the lightweight division. Two big men in height, stature. But again, adjustments, and that neck is wide open again, and Molloy knows it, and that's he's leaning into it here.
Again, that looks very tight. He's got the grip on it there. That's beautiful grip. 10 seconds left. Does he go for it?
He's starting to adjust again, but it looks like time's going to get away from him here. But again, Phil, this is an interesting point scoring-wise there. How are you looking at that? It's Stanko who looks like to get him up against the cage to implement that game plan. But if anything, the one who was closest to a potential fight-ending sequence was Pat Molloy.
The way I would interpret is when both men are against the cage in such a fashion, it looks very much like a 50-50 position. I base it then on once they get to the cage, who is the man doing the work. From that position, it looked like Patrick Molloy was the one who was being the proactive fighter. Stanko looked happy just to to stall in that position, where it was Patrick Molloy, he was doing something proactive. He was searching for that guillotine the entire time. He was trying to break away.
And what that attack might lend to in the second round for Pat Molloy, Stanko will be aware that, okay, he's got a good guillotine here, I got to be careful. So it might make him second guess or second think his approach to going for that style takedown again.
He can't just dive in wild with it. We've seen a couple of times how close Molloy was with it there. As we say, Bartosz was able to readjust. He was able to straighten the back and keep himself safe. But in the closing 10 seconds, it looked very, very tight.
As you said, Phil, in his corner is one of the best grapplers in MMA, Norman Park. So he may have able to give him the slight adjustments or tweaks that he may need to complete that takedown. Molloy looks fresh, bouncing on his toes. Second round underway. Just a slip on the canvas by Pat Molloy, and Stanko will look to take advantage of this. Trapping that arm.
Needs to be aware. See, Molloy has that underhook of the leg. His feet are very square here.
Looking for the trip potential here. Going for the leg here, Phil.
Could be switching the knee bar. Again, inverted.
And it's Stanko who rolls for it.
Molloy was wise to it, pops out on it, and just takes away that space in between himself and Stanko.
And that must be frustrating for Stanko to slip of Molloy, and he didn't get to take advantage of it and finds himself underneath Pat Molloy. And a heel and Gracie as well, so he's going to be well versed in this position.
What Stanko needs to do is he's turning out. What he needs to do is get his knee in towards turn in.
Yeah.
Because right now, there's a potential for an armbar, there's a potential for a Kimura, a head-on triangle, if Molloy can sneak his head out here.
There's definitely a couple of weapons in the arsenal here, and I just think it depends on what Stanko tries to do. Molloy's going to roll with that, look to get a hook on the opposite side, but almost used a bulldog schoolyard choke just to reverse the position and finds himself in a sort of sit-through half guard.
What could happen here is there's the potential for the bulldog choke. I would like to see Stanko switch his hips and get into a more dominant side control. That scarf position, it's not really a holding position in MMA, it's a position you switch to. If you stay in it too long, your opponent, as we can see Molloy's trying to do, has come out the back with it.
Ben Askren is currently in Ireland. Where are we going to see a bulldog choke Ben Askren style? We're not, it's popped out, and Molloy straight away looks for the back. He's got one hook in, and Stanko's going to turn into him. Switch, he does.
Solid work from Stanko, now in a more dominant side control position where he has the greater leverage. You can see Molloy trying to dig in for an underhook of his own, framing away beautifully, does excellently to get his half guard back.
Excellent defensive jiu-jitsu on the bottom there by Pat Molloy, and Stanko again just looking up to his corner just for some advice.
Again, Molloy trying to get onto his left hip, trying to shrimp out. Right, nice flat back in a little bit. This is when I would like to see Stanko posture and land some strikes, when Molloy's taking those couple of seconds to breathe and he's flat backing.
And this is the thing, it is an MMA fight, it's not a grappling fight, so the position of the shoulder, he needs to throw strikes. Becky Larkin will look at that. Are you just laying and praying is the old phrase, I suppose, for it, but he's not now. He's starting to posture up and land shots from inside the guard of Molloy, but Molloy comfortable enough. He hasn't taken any real damage on the bottom here, Phil.
Momentarily looked like he was trying to set up the arm bar, had the foot on the hip, and now he's edging ever higher with his guard, trying to isolate an arm. You can see there, just beaten by the clock.
But again, that all came from the start of the round. Molloy was looking to open up, and I'll stand by it. I said in the first round, he looks looser on the feet. Stanko looks a little more rigid and tight, and it was the slip in the center of the cage that got us to this position where we are here. And it was a matter of play out and scrambles and reversals by both fighters.
Well, you can see just how well versed Patrick Molloy is in the ground. He was able to go into that inverted position. From that inverted position, he was able to get out the back, shut down any sort of offensive jiu-jitsu of Stanko. And it came very, very close to taking the back. Stanko obviously finishing the round with some solid ground and pound, but very, very evenly matched fight so far.
And then I think what comes out of this and how close this fight is how evenly matched they were. We talked about the 10 years difference in age, but experience similar, and it's been shown here tonight. A very closely contested fight here at Clan Wars 37. And both fighters coming out in the third round. You've got to think Pat Molloy is probably thinking, right, I was on the bottom for a while there. I was up against the cage. I'm really going to have to step it up here potentially in the third.
You can see the pace being set now by Patrick Molloy. He's the one coming out with the impetus to take this round. Landing a beautiful 1-2.
It's almost like Stanko seems to be confused by that southpaw stance. It looks like he maybe, you know, it's very difficult to replicate a southpaw, and he seems to be struggling with it right now. He needs to lean his head down quite a bit. If Molloy has picked that up, there could be a potential head kick.
And traditionally, where Stanko would move to evade the strikes against an orthodox fighter, he's moving into the danger hand of the southpaw fighter. He's moving into the danger kick of the southpaw fighter.
And this all coming from the southpaw, that is Phil Campbell.
That's a lovely straight, lovely left straight from Patrick Molloy.
And Stanko trying to fire back, but they were a bit laboured, and Molloy counters with a left hand.
You can see Molloy almost just waiting to slip that straight from Stanko and come back with the left of his own.
Just giving different looks, changes stance there into orthodox and back into southpaw in that exchange. But this is where Pat Molloy surely doesn't want to be. This is where Stanko has had his success in the fight, and yet again does, although I think there was a fence grab on the way down there, so Decky Larkin
resets the position.
Yeah, that's what it was. Excellent work, Decky Larkin. That would have been too big of an advantage, I think, to go, Phil, without it being an action rather than just a warning. So we start back off center of the cage. Excellent work, Decky Larkin.
Again, that 1-2 is money. Stanko needs to be careful of dipping his head there. Should Molloy become wise to it, there's a big uppercut.
Stanko walks through them punches to get the clinch, and in some ways I would have liked to see Molloy incorporate a kick into that exchange, although this guillotine looks a lot tighter this time.
Switches, had arm in momentarily, switches to, again he's back to the arm in guillotine.
Looking to fish the hand in to get the grip, Phil.
You can see him just digging in for it, and if he gets it, he has that underhook. If he can connect his palm to the blade of his hand, it could be all over.
A deep breath by Pat Molloy, looked up at the clock.
Minute left. Is he going to try and put everything into it?
Got to be careful with that minute left. He could burn himself, but it's go for broke potentially, depending how the judges seen 1 and 2. But Molloy is certainly putting it all out here in round 3. Stanko out of danger of that guillotine now and is hunting a single.
A takedown could be huge for Stanko at this stage. Scores it beautifully, much to the happiness of his supporters.
Again, it depends on what way the judge is seeing it. Are they seeing the 2 minutes and 30 seconds of Molloy scoring on his feet, or are they seeing a takedown with 30 seconds to go? Will he advance position? Will he land strikes on top? Is it Warren? He's in full mount now, so that's a big score rather than just a takedown.
And he's landing big strikes. This is a great way to end the round.
Yeah, sure is. That could nil and void at 2 minutes and 30 of stand-up by Pat Molloy. Excellently contested fight, and I think it's got to come down to what the judges see, the submission attempts, the striking on the feet, but big performance by Bartosz Stanko to get that takedown in the final seconds. But this is the third round, and it was an ultimately confident Pat Molloy landing strikes, Phil.
It was all about that 1-2 coming from the southpaw stance. It was landing it pretty much at will, and it was only really in the closing stanzas of that fight that we saw Stanko gather a little bit of momentum and score that takedown. Very interesting to see how our 3 Clan Wars judges will score this fight. So we will throw it up to RMC Mr. Noel O'Keefe for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for both fighters. After 3 rounds of action, we go to your judges' scorecard. Judge number 1 has scored this bout 29-28, Stanko. Judge number 2 has scored this bout 29-28, Molloy. And judge number 3 has scored this bout 29-28 for your winner by split decision. Fighting out of the blue corner, Molloy. Please hold an applause for Bartosz Stanko.